Hi everybody, today I would like to do a little comparison buying guide impressions video on two cameras, the Leica M3 and the Leica M6. So it's these two cameras, and what I would like to say about these two is one is the most iconic Leica M, and that would be the M3. And this camera really is, well, it's the first Leica M, and it's what many people consider the perfect, the most ideal Leica M. And the other one I would like to show you is the M6. And the M6 is the last Leica M, for example, that can work without batteries. So this is the last, let's say, of the generation of really mechanical Leicas or Leica M's. It does have a light meter compared to the M3 that does not have a light meter, but basically that's the only difference you would say. So if you choose for example, to enter into the Leica rangefinder market, and you're out to buy a used Leica, which one should you buy? I cannot tell you which one is the better one, which one is the perfect one for you. It depends on what you want to do. But for example, let's start with some differences or similarities. I took some notes and I would like to lead you through these considerations. So the Leica M6 has a battery inside. Actually, two batteries. They're in here. It's two of these batteries, these tiny, small, and they basically don't operate the camera. They exclusively operate the light meter. So if you can operate this camera without the batteries, because it's purely mechanical. I mean, let me just really, to demonstrate you, let me take out the whole compartment, so we'll have a hole in the front. The camera operates at the speeds that it's supposed to operate at. So the camera can work perfectly without the batteries. So it's not the reason you can give, oh, I want a camera that doesn't, that I can rely on even if I'm out somewhere where I don't have access to batteries or something like that. Besides, honestly, nowadays, if you don't have access to batteries, you probably don't have access to film, and maybe if you're on an expedition, you will not take a film Leica with you. But that's basically up to you, and I don't want to say, if somebody wants to do that, I actually admire that approach. So the reason that the Leica M3 is the purely mechanical camera is not really justified. So the quality of the two cameras, it's quite hard to say which one is better. This one probably being a camera built at a time when the manufacturing process was more focused on long-term use, quality, and everything, is built in a slightly different way from this one. This is an industrial product, and this is more of a manufacturer product. On the other hand, I have had this camera for about 30 years now. I've never done anything to it. I've used it regularly, and I never really had issues with it. It's a great camera, and it does what it has to do. So in terms of use, they're almost exactly the same, with this difference that this one has a light meter and this one does not. So unless you're really good at measuring the light with your eyes, you will have to go out with a light meter. There are ones that you stick on top, but still, it's only almost coupled, but it's not really coupled. So you will have to measure the light and then take the shot. So that's not quite, if you know what I mean. So the price on the market for these two, if you want a perfect M3, it's gonna be the price of an M6, of a used M6. If you're willing to take one that is not really perfect, like for example this one that I got has some marks on it. I don't know if you can see it. It's not really perfect. Let me see if you can, yeah. It's not in perfect conditions, but I got this camera to use, so I don't care for perfect conditions. Some differences in use. The cameras have very different magnification factors in the viewfinder, or in the viewfinder. This one basically starts at 50 and goes up. It goes up. The whole viewfinder is a 50mm viewfinder, and then it goes down to higher focal lengths. I think it's 90 and 135. Don't you know? I'm not sure. Whereas this one basically is a lower magnification in the viewfinder and covers the whole viewfinder is corresponding to a 28mm basically. And there I have to say, if I look into it with my glasses, I hardly see the 35mm frame line, and I can basically not see the 28. So you have them, but basically you judge it by saying, okay, the whole frame is 28mm. So this is maybe more flexible if you want to use wide angle lenses. And this is the one that you use if you basically use a 50mm lens, because for this it's perfect. What else? As I said, this one has exposure metering. It's a very basic exposure metering system, but it is a built-in exposure metering. So with this one you can go out, and assuming that the batteries don't give up just on that day, you will have days, weeks, months of exposure metering with this one. With this one, really you will have to use, if you do, for example, street photography, you have one side of the street with a lot of light, you have one side of a corner of the street with little light. You have to meter your light. What else? In terms of usability, for example, loading film, they are pretty much the same, with the exception that the M3 was built in the same way. It has this flip out back, but the spool, the take-up spool, is removable. And this one has a built-in take-up spool. You know, it's fixed. You know, this one stays like that. The back opens up a little. I will have to have a look at the light seals of this one, in fact. But basically, this one has all inside, so there's no chance to lose something with the M3. And that's actually something I suggest you check when you buy an M3. Have a look that you get all the parts that you deserve. One little tiny thing that the M3 has, and they stopped doing that. I don't know exactly why. Maybe because it was just very limiting. It has I cannot show you because none of these cameras will really show you this. But inside the rangefinder, it allows you to determine up to a certain extent the depth of field covered on 2 apertures. I'm not sure if it was like 2 and 5.6 or something like that, but you will have on the side, on the top and on the bottom of the rangefinder patch, you will have 2 little, you know, lines, and the top one is broader and the bottom one is thinner, and they represent the margin you have when you focus. So what else can I say about these two cameras? I have them both. And actually this one was far more recent. I just got this like a year ago because I myself wanted to have an M3. This is actually the old version of the M3, so it's a double stroke version. But I have to say that for example, I like, because if you want to wind this one, you have to go all the way around, and sometimes you're like this because your hand may be in the way of your winding lever. So in fact, I wouldn't even say that a double stroke M3 is a bad thing. I might even say that a double stroke M3 is the really first one, and it's really not bad to have a double stroke. It doesn't really bother me. So if you're out to buy one, it's up to you. The main difference that I would see personally is, do you want to carry around a light meter with you? Because it boils down to that. If you're willing to meter your light several times during the day, depending on the situation, and eventually losing a shot because you don't have time to measure the light or you don't measure it correctly, then this is, you know, your decision, and the M3 is the camera for you. But quite honestly, and maybe some high grade professional artist photographers will totally disagree with me, I like to have my my light metering inside the camera, even if it is a very, very basic one like this one, because here you have the two arrows, triangles, whatever, and they will basically show you the metering. You don't have any little numbers or anything, nothing at all, just that, and you meter the light like that. So at the same time, even though this one has a light meter in it, it will still work without the batteries. So this one can reduce to an M3, but the M3 is really hard to make equivalent to this one in terms of light metering, because you will always have to use an external light meter. The old ones that you connect to it are not too reliable, so I would really, personally, if I have to go out and take pictures, I choose the M6. If I want to go out and have fun and feel like sent back into the last century, then I go out with the M3. That is my personal opinion. Both are fantastic cameras, and if you're a Leica fan and you really like Leica, you may really choose to have them both. The M6, and that's a note on the side, can be compared or substituted by the old film MP, and that was basically an M6 made in a more pure way. So for example, the film rewind knob is not like crooked like this, which requires a mechanism inside and some cranking and things like that, but it's actually, corresponds more to the old one that is straight, and so it is basically a direct connection into the film spool. These are my ideas. They may be confused a little bit, and I don't know everything about these cameras, but I've been using them both and many others too, and this is my point of view in terms of what one should buy. And if I was out again to buy a Leica M film camera, probably my perspective wouldn't change very much. So for use, I suggest the M6, and for the feel of it and the history, the M3 is a good choice. Thank you very much. Hope I could help you a little bit, and see you back here soon. Subscribe if you like. There's a lot more coming this way. Thank you very much. Bye bye.